The next spiritual degree is built on top of today's self-annulment. You're anointing yourself today more than yesterday, and in that way, you give away an opportunity to the upper lights to promote you, to keep best. No, they don't have a number. Yes, how can a person annul his ego in all the states that come, and remember that the Creator is the good who does good, and to aim himself towards vessels of bestow. Does it mean that he must organize things like that to arrange himself that way with his friends, and in that way to arrange his prayer? And it's good if he even writes it down throughout the day on some piece of paper, what exactly he's adding to what he asked the day before. Exactly, he aims towards the Creator, aims for the Creator, and how the Creator can be connected with him, and so we advances. Thank you. I heard you saying that we have to be in connection with the Creator with a sense towards him. We have to change the connection and be in a sense towards him. What does that mean? What to change in the connection with the Creator? To change that everything we do in terms of increasing the connection between us, that we want to get closer to the Creator, to bestow upon him, to ask of him all the best for our 10, for our group. And then when we'll feel an inner change in us, we then return to him and thank him. What's so special in the connection between us, and what's the problem? What's special in the connection? What's so special in that connection? What's special here is that you feel a connection with him. In this connection, you want to preserve it, maintain it, so that you'll always feel yourself getting closer and closer to him, or more correctly, that he is closer to you. All right, thank you. You're welcome. Woman, I wanted to ask about gratitude. What is true gratitude? Is it gratitude for reward for gifts the Creator gives? It feels like we have to give gratitude on all states that it's preparations for the ascent. So what else should we add? What should it come out from? Proper gratitude needs to emerge from a recognition of my initial state and recognition of the final states, the ascent. And when I see that the Creator did all this for me, from that, I need to imagine to myself, to think how would I thank a person who'd serve me in that way? How would I thank him? What? That's all. Very, very powerful action, giving thanks to the Creator. So let's try to achieve it. We made connections with friends from New Tens throughout the Congress. How should we relate to the friends that are outside of my tent? During the convention, we made connection with friends from New Tents. Now, after the Congress, how should we relate to those friends that aren't from our tents, but we've made a connection with them during the Congress? Continue being in contact with them. There's my 10 that I'm in contact with your 10. That's constant, that's permanent, that's where you are now. During the Congress you were connected with another 10. I mixed around, I connected the other friends. Good. Now after the Congress we're to be in what 10? I'm back with my 10, so what is my relation with the friends that I made contact with during the Congress? That is a common question. And what can we say here? From my own personal impression, my own personal observation, when I return to my group after a Congress, try to be, as much as I can, I try to be in a higher state, and from that high state of connection with my group, I try to bestow to the group that I was connected to during the conference was the foundation for the Congress, and that's how you can advance. When we speak of a spiritual ascent after the Congress, we're speaking about it in my personal 10 or between tents. After the Congress, I need to return to my own tent. I heard from you in the lesson and in the Congress that we're connecting more to connection between tens, between groups. What is this form? Yes, we receive this influence. Foreign, our men, for speech. Leave it. Good morning, dear friends. I'm Vincent. I'm Vincent from Canada. Vincent. First time in Israel. I'm very pleased to be here. When I arrived, I saw many different cultures gathered together. My brain could not process. It felt like chaos. Then we united for the Congress, and I saw all these points in the heart uniting, and I felt the Creator, and I knew what it meant to be one, just like the Creator is one. So I saw the reflection of the Creator between us, all those qualities of the Creator that we're manifesting. And I'm very proud to be in Israel. And I feel this deep gratitude in my heart. And I know that the Creator is pleased with us. We are becoming His perfect reflection. And I look forward to stay there with you to continue. Hi friends, and my name is Alex. I'm from Brazil. And I'm living Montreal too in Canada. I am from the Cap 12 and my 10 is everything for me. Come here. It was my first time. Is so powerful. So love. So much thing. Here. Then. Wow, the food. The attention. The smiles. You really show everything. How beautiful can be the Creator, and that's it, like the rough words. He was here in the connection and that's what we need to keep going doing. That's the job then we need to do. And. My 10 is everything for me. All the power we know don't belong to us. We need to give it back, all that, and work in that our votes. And that's the feeling that I have in the Congress. But hi friends, get an excerpt from Balsam Letter 2. I shall advise you to evoke within you fear of the coolness of the love between us. Although the intellect denies such a depiction, think for yourself. If there is a tactic by which to increase love, and one does not increase it, that too is considered a flaw. It's like a person who gives a great gift to his friend. A love that appears in his heart during the act is not like the love that remains in the heart after the fact. Rather, it gradually wanes each day until the blessing of the love can be entirely forgotten. Thus each day the receiver of the gift must find a tactic to make it new in his eyes. This is all our work, to display love between us each and every day, just as upon receiving, meaning to increase and multiply the intellect with many additions to the core, until the additional blessings of now will be touching our senses like the essential gift at first. This requires great tactics set up for the time of need. How do we all become incorporated together? How do we reach the feeling that we are all 110, that we truly merge, dissolve into one thing, by each one thinking about everyone, that they all depend on him? How many thoughts can a person hold at one moment? He can hold all of them. Is my concern to hold my 10, and through it everyone, or directly everyone including my 10, including your 10 and all of you want to feel them, to embrace all of them. And when everyone thinks like that, what happens? What outcome do we expect? It is considered that then, in this way, the Creator clothes each of them. Silent workshop. Let's ask to feel and embrace all of. Let's ask to feel and embrace all of. Dear friends, we're continuing with a series of lessons based on excerpts from the Kabbalist, continuing the Congress in an ascent. Now we will go to a lesson that took place in May 27, 2025. Today's lesson is on the subject of continuing the Congress in ascent. We will read excerpts from the sources starting with excerpt number 2. You can find all of our text on kabbalahmaker.info as well as through the Arvood platform, where you can send us questions live. So the subject for today's lesson is continuing the Congress in ascent. Excerpt number 2 says, in every beginning, a person must start over the acceptance of the kingdom of heaven. It is not enough that yesterday he had faith in the Creator. For this reason, every acceptance of the kingdom of heaven is considered a new discernment. That is, now he receives a part of the vacant space that was devoid of the kingdom of heaven, and admits that empty place and fills it with the kingdom of heaven. It follows that now he sorted out a new thing which did not exist before he took that empty place and filled it with the kingdom of heaven. This is regarded as elevating a new spark into holiness. Finally, from all the ascents, he always raises sparks from the empty space into holiness. It follows that from each and every descent he comes to a new beginning, raising new sparks, meaning that without the feeling of a descent, we cannot begin a new ascent. And feeling the descent as really a descent is necessary in order that afterward one can depict oneself as being in an ascent. Therefore, the whole path is of ascents and descents. That is how they need to be, and in as much speed as possible that we go through them. And so then the person progresses more, meaning that a person needs to be concerned that all the questions, all the descents, should as quickly as possible invert into a sense. how to turn, how to switch a descent with an ascent, or how to invert a descent into an ascent. What does it mean? Person needs to do that. Depends on his effort. Descent means that he descends from connection with the Creator, and an ascent means that he comes closer to that. So we need to constantly think how we cannot descend but rise, and by doing so we switch descends to ascends. Yes, so there's a new desire that awakens now in the person. He discovers that this disconnects him from the Creator, that he's not in contact with the Creator anymore, and now he wants to do the work. He wants to renew the connection with the Creator. Let's put it that way. Yes. So what should the person do? How do I renew the connection with the Creator? Is it only through thought? Should I accept it as a kind of awakening that pushes me to connect to the Creator? Is there any action to be taken there? That's what I'm trying to understand. Is there any action you take in order to renew the connection with the Creator? When you start thinking about how it is in connection with the Creator compared to your current state, and this thought that came up by which I discovered that I'm disconnected from the Creator. Yes, it becomes like a platform for connecting with the Creator. It's not important unto itself, right? Yes, it's important. Why not? It's important like some kind of jumping instrument or machine where you start rising. I'll give you an example. I want to see if I understand. So let's say some thought awakens in me which is completely unrelated to the path. I feel something of this world. I'm completely thrown into this world. Completely means that you have no thought or feeling from anything that belongs to the ascent. Yes, let's say this is the current situation, and then a moment after I remember, it doesn't matter why, because of the friends and such like. I remember that I want to re-establish the connection with the Queen. What do I do with that feeling of disconnection? I use it as a kind of I was disconnected from the Creator. Let's now connect to Him. That could be the case. And how do I renew that connection? What do I need to do? I need to think about Him, pray to Him, thank Him. What exactly do I do at that moment? Something of that which you said, something that relates to ascent. Thank you. Kid is all. Yes, good morning. What will serve us as fuel in a state of descent? In a state of ascent, we have only an opportunity to direct ourselves, in any case, to the Creator who disappeared, who became distant, who is unfelt in us, and that is the time that we can gather all the vessels of ours, empty and distant from the connection with the Creator. Then we can begin to ask and to pray and accordingly return to connection. Yes, so you say that in a state of descent we can only aim ourselves at the Creator who's vanishing, He's growing distant. So it's not really a descent then. We call that a descent in relation to the previous state. That is how we can feel it. That we are distant from the Creator. That it's hard for us to find words, a language, how to turn to Him. And then when we in any case turn to Him, we are then rewarded with His closeness. So how to define a descent? As a gradual distancing from the Creator is gradual distancing. When I feel that the Creator is distancing Himself from me, or rather, I'm growing more distant to Him. What is my work? Then you have the opportunity to act in a sense. What does the ideal descent look like? What descent is distancing. That person loses something, meaning beforehand he was relatively in an ascent, and now he feels that he is truly far from the Creator. How do you get closer to the Creator? Again, we ask, that is called praying. Another question, how can we use the sensation of euphoria that comes about after a congress, what's left of it, in order to advance? During the congress, we had a certain closeness with the Creator because we applied efforts from our connection, all of us, and we were rewarded somewhat. Yes, and from the Creator's closeness toward us, we can now do more actions. We can continue just not to descend, but to continue more actions in order to rise more and more, to continue to extend what actions? Closeness with the Creator. Thank you. Yes, right, that each time a person begins to accept the burden of the kingdom of heaven, he raises new sparks. Yes, what are those sparks? Those are Rashomot records that a person needs to implement in order to come closer to the Creator in practice. Okay, yes, how to make sure, or how to use the descent, so that after that I rise in holiness, higher than I was prior to the descent. That is a question from that in which we still do not know exactly how to measure spiritual states, ascents and descent. It is thus hard to say, but in any case, a person should try to measure each ascent and descent so that they will all be on the path that returns them to spirituality. Thank you. I have another question. Well, can a person feel before entering Lishma? Can he feel that, oh, I'm about to enter Lishma? Or does it come in a way where a person is distracted and he doesn't know exactly where he is if he's getting close? In any case, he needs to still measure in relation to what he has an ascent, in relation to what he has a descent, what vessels he uses. Now, he needs to try to measure his state as much as it is in an as alert aware state as possible. No, thank you. Daddy, do you want to say something or not? It seems like a sense and a sense are this kind of mechanism where a person looks at his past and accordingly decides if he's in an ascent or a descent, or with respect to the future, he can decide, or if he looks at the friends, he can by that decide if he's in an ascent or a descent, meaning a person with his thoughts, and he sees there are states. The question is how to use this mechanism, how to rise above the different states, how to view it not through the lens of what I feel, what I think, but from a higher place, how to rise above those states and understand that there is a system here that you're playing in, living in, and don't know. Use the descent in order to come to a sense that more realistic. It appears that it's not only the rhythm, there's also power, intensity, and the power always has to be greater. We're not impressed by yesterday's descent anymore. So how to prepare ourselves to states of greater ascents and greater descents than we've come to before? How to prepare? It all depends on a person, how he feels. Measures relates to his states. How to prepare? That depends on his attitude, how he measures what he is in a sense, in descents, in an order of times, in actions, and each time to try to measure his state. There's a new thing in closeness with the Creator. Another little thing, how can you use the environment so that it gives you a kind of cushion, a kind of security, assurance that it can envelop you in such states. How to use the environment? You said it correctly. My question is, what action should I take towards the environment so that then I can tell for sure that there, behind me, what's most important is annulment, self-annulment, and in cooperation with friends, and measuring each one is important, and that he will want to be together with them, above himself as he was a moment ago, and accordingly to continue. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, love. You gave us a piece of practical advice. In order to go through the different states as fast as possible, we need to think constantly about what it means to be in contact with the Creator. So what is that? Thought, how to be in contact with the Creator. It is that I'm on the path, that my efforts and steps are toward the Creator, that I'm coming closer to Him. And how is that expressed? In our work in the 10, how should I act upon it? Ultimately, the Creator arranged my connection with the friends. So how to take these states as fast as possible, together with the friends, and not allow ourselves to enter a descent, but to constantly go forward. We're saying that we need to grow stronger and advance, and we received some very special force this Congress, and we don't want to put it off to one side. We want to continue with it. So you have material that you read together, that you discuss together. With that, try to take steps accordingly. Another step somewhat, another step somewhat, and accordingly you'll come closer. Last question. What kind of picture should we paint to ourselves in the connection with the 10, which will be the closest connection with the Creator? What kind of image do we imagine to paint there, where we know that we're always getting closer? Closeness with the Creator means it's in the state when you are in a distancing, in a descent, when you lose some connection, let's say with your friends, that you in such states find forces inside yourself for ascent. How important is our collective prayer? In the 10, certainly prayer is what is most beneficial if it's a prayer for the 10 that went through a certain fall, a certain distancing. Then that is very beneficial. I'm not saying that my 10 is now falling. I want to advance. I don't want to wait for the fall. I want to continue with that power. What kind of prayer should we establish? Should we form in order to continue stronger, more connected? We don't want to wait for a fall, or maybe it must happen. No, that doesn't need to be. It's not that I divide in advance my day, where half of it is an ascent, another half is an ascent on something else. No, we always think only about the ascents, but we understand that between them will also come descents, will also come to us, and that's how we progress. Thank you. Yes, 31 they ask, will the descent always be accompanied by an intolerable sensation? So he continues asking, can we reach a state where we are happy in the descents? I don't think that we can be happy, but we can hold ourselves in a state where we understand the necessity of that, and that we try, in a state of descent, to elevate ourselves to connection with the Creator. From PD6 Women, what helps a person emerge from the descent? The most that can be is connection with friends, where each one holds the other, and in such a way together, we start rising. From PD31, he asks, how can the 10 help one go through the states of descent quicker? Only through that in which we work together. How can a person make an effort while being in a state of descent? During a state of descent where we feel the descent, we can begin discussing ascents, and we understand that that is what we lack, as much as we can depict to ourselves the state of ascent more and more. So according to that, can exit the descent and enter into an ascent. From Boom in Latin 26. He's asking what questions help us, what questions addressed to the Creator help us emerge from a descent and advance to the next state. Actions of connection. Thank you. There are situations where you see that you're growing more distant. You see yourself growing more distant, descending, but also you don't have the power to ask to get closer. So what do you do in those states? A practical state is that we feel that we are in a descent and that we can no longer tolerate it. So from that state we start crying to the Creator help us, and then we become rewarded with an ascent. And when you don't have the power to even cry for help, you see that you're falling down, you're descending, but you don't have the power to ask. So you have a group. Without a group, a person is lost. Where's the group here at that moment? It's not in a person's feeling. A person has no feeling of the group. It's as if everything is dead. And that's how it is. The judge only has, he judge according to his flaws. And how does the group help me at that moment? The group needs to make research anew each time about each and every friend. What state does he appear to be in? And from that, they sometimes discuss, not in his presence, how to relate to him. Sometimes it's on the contrary precisely. In his presence they speak, and as such at the end of it all they come closer together. How can a person find within himself the power to ascend? Only from that in which he feels that if he will not replace the direction of his spiritual state, so then he's lost. Therefore, he asks the Creator to help him and to save him. Thank you. Yes, I heard you answering. He asked you regarding raising new sparks, and you said that these are the records that need to be resolved. Yes, so how to resolve them? What is the action? How to actualize these records? Person needs to see what state he really is in relation to what there is in relation to the Creator, in relation to what the Creator presents before him, and accordingly, he sees that he has opportunity before him to rise to a tier, and thus he comes closer to a prayer. The records is that the feeling of the shattering, that I need to detach back to the Creator. You can say yes, precise, but okay, so it's individual each. One feels this reality differently of the records that awaken within him, that are revealed. So what do I need to? In that when I feel if it's a descent or the best stage is that you open your heart to the Creator, ask from him to elevate you, to show you the path of coming closer. Okay, so the reality that awakens in me these records that awaken within me, you say, that I need to ask the Creator to show me the path by which to get close to Him. Okay, so my question is, what to ask for? With respect to this state that I feel, it is according to what you discover in your records. And if there's something that keeps repeating, it doesn't matter. It returns it. It's still not enough. You still haven't brought the Creator enough of your decisions. Okay, all right. Thank you. No, well, when a person depicts for himself a state of incent, what exactly should he depict? At once it was clear to him where he was, that he was in a certain connection with the Creator, and he thought that he has no more descents before him, only a sense, and now he sees that that's not the case. But you said to depict the state of an ascent. What you just explained is that I look at my past and my current state. Yes, so I'm asking a person in a descent. What does it mean that he's depicting an ascent? What is he drawing before him? He draws that he is in a connection with the Creator, and he understands the Creator's actions on him, that the Creator wants to bring him closer, and that it is what is before him. This opportunity. What exactly does it mean to depict a connection with the Creator? What are you depicting for yourself, seemingly? Then he starts depicting to himself the extent to which, in thought, speech and action, what he discovers in the Creator is what he will have. When a person is in a state of a descent, how does he still hold on to some kind of awakening and doesn't completely hide? That's what he has friends for a group. So the state of the ascent the group depicts for him, or does it have to come from his own exertion to depict that state of the ascent? That doesn't matter. So, how can he rise? How do you rise? You rise, or the group raises you? The group, the Creator, me, myself, what does it matter? The main thing is that I demand a change of state. I demand more closeness with the Creator. Last question. A person closer to the Creator. What changes in a person that comes closer to the Creator, and what does he change? That in thought and in desire, he is more similar to the Creator, which means that he's not opposite to similarity, but he is similar. But in what are you similar? How is it expressed being similar to the Creator? Is that I feel his actions as all being, as all acting on this group that I belong to in order to bring them closer to correction. Thank you. Yes. He writes that a person has to start from new, and not that it shouldn't be sufficient the faith he had yesterday, that he needs to accept a new phase. Why? Not to agree with what we had yesterday, as it was yesterday, meaning time has passed. Everything has inverted. A new day starts. He has a new record, a new reshimo, and he's a new person. But if he takes a new discernment, then now he feels the Creator sent him a new state. Yes, if he takes it. So there's disconnections from the Creator there, darkness, distance. Why should he turn there? Why not to prefer the attention he already had? I don't understand. The Creator awakens a person with new states, new records. Yes, if a person chooses to work with them, so he necessarily enters darkness. Why? Because usually it's the Creator sense. Thoughts of himself shows him that he's far from the friends, far from the group. He has to start working with it. That's the work. He has to renew his connection. But if he starts working in it, he enters some darkness. He disconnects from the Creator. He enters the work, but he also has states where he remembered the connection he did have. Those points of attention, and he can hold on to them. I'm asking what to prefer. I don't really understand that state. He needs to ask the Creator to give him understanding and strength to correctly change his state, to ask for the change of his state from the Creator. Sometimes there's a feeling that if we go into a difficult place, it's the ego pushing you to those places, when you can actually go to places that are easier to work in. You need to measure what is closer to you. What does that mean? What forces can now bring you closer to the Creator? Thank you, Ken. Yes. Good morning. Rabish writes about the vacant space. What is this vacant space? The vacant space is that a person feels that he is in such an atmosphere that there is a force there, but it's a force that lacks direction, but it lacks a program, a plan. So a person does not know how exactly he can progress onward. It sounds like this is the place for our work. That is also a place for work. Yes. Vacant space come from, was it already created when the creator created the worlds? Where does this vacant space come from? The vacant space comes from our will to receive. That feels itself disconnected from the creator, and no one fills it. That is called the vacant space. So we hear from you. We have different kinds of orientation in this vacant space. We have the Rasham, we have the friends, we have the Ravs. We have certain conditions in this vacant space. What is our compass to orient ourselves? In every situation, the friends, the group, that I need to be connected with them, and that we scrutinize how we can further progress. From that point, until the purpose of creation hands, give me the orientation how to keep moving in this space. Can, yes, Yakovkin, no. Thank you about what mentioned about that vacant space. He says that a person fills that space with the kingdom of heaven, and it says that he is now scrutinized, something new. Our main work is scrutiny, that action of scrutinizing. So I wanted to ask, when is it called that a person scrutinizes and not thinking about things, but it doesn't feel like an actual scrutiny? It sounds like something much stronger. What is a scrutiny? Scrutiny is that I scrutinize between two or more options. What suits me, and what am I scrutinizing? What should a person scrutinize or inquire? That is what you need to scrutinize out of all the options before you. Through the implementation of what possibility do you reach your goal? So I need to put, when I enter a scrutiny, I have to have a goal before me to remember it. So how do you enter scrutiny without that? So if I'm thinking of certain things, the creator, the friends, but it's a thought, so that's not called a scrutiny, right? That you are in a few different thoughts, and you want to scrutinize between them with what thought you go to the goal. That is called a scrutiny. In every scrutiny something new comes out. Innovation comes out of every scrutiny. Yes, their actions also. Yossi mentioned that. We repeat them. It's like a routine. They were going to meet every 10. They have their Zoom meetings. How to extract from every action that we do together an innovation. How do you find that innovation? And I just put a check mark that we did an action. It is through that in which we scrutinize what is before us, and we check, we point to, and we do something with that. You advise how to scrutinize, how to enter a scrutiny. How to scrutinize is simple. It's not simple, but it's clear. What we need to do, we need, as if we're having some kind of election. Here, how many hands are up and how many are down, and according to that we scrutinize. Convention is a scrutiny. Something new comes out of it. Congress is a place for scrutiny. Even before the Congress we receive some material. Afterward we ask and discuss it. And through that, what is before you becomes clearer. Right, you also recognize to read and repeat things now. Sometimes I find myself that I read okay. I go over the text. There's not always an innovation. There's not always something that as if I didn't read, but during the reading I went through a scrutiny. Is there a difference between like reading or reading with a scrutiny? Seemingly yes, that is clear to us from our lives. It's desire to reach a scrutiny, right, and not just read. Yes, the path is from a sense, and the quicker the descends, change to a sense. That way a person advances quicker. So what's the benefit from having ups and downs, whether they're a lot or from the scrutinies within those sense? In the sense earlier, we used the word to weigh. So where's the benefit in the scrutiny? Or the fact that there are ups and downs? We need to still scrutinize that, even in a sense and a sense themselves. Without the outcomes of that, we have, from that, an accumulation of states, forces, from which we construct our path, how we later execute the action at the end. Therefore, it is hard to say about that now. Thank you. When we say descent or ascent, in relation to coming closer to the Creator, it could be that we're defining it completely opposite. Let's say, yesterday, or in the Congress I felt good. We sang, we danced, we ate. Today only a yearning to the Creator is left, not anything else, as if it was there. We talked about Him, we felt Him, and suddenly today only the yearning is left. Maybe that's the ascent. We say those who long to the day of the Creator that it's darkness, and not night. We might be exchanging it. I'm asking. I cannot answer that now. Would you want me to read another excerpt? Yes. Number 3. Any overcoming in the work is called walking in the work of the Creator. Since each penny joins into a great amount, that is all the times we overcome, accumulate, to a certain measure required to become a vessel for the reception of the abundance. Overcoming means taking a part of a vessel of reception and adding it to the vessels of bestow. It is like a screen, which we must place on top of the coarseness. Follows that if one has no will to receive, one has nothing on which to place his screen. For this reason, when the evil inclination brings us foreign thoughts, this is the time to take these thoughts and raise them above reason. This is something one can do with everything one's soul desires. One should not say that now he has received rejection from the work. Rather, he should say that he was given thoughts and desires from above, so as to have room to admit them into holiness. By the any questions in relation to this excerpt? What does it mean? Overcome. Overcoming means that upon all the disturbances one has, scrutinizing a spiritual state, one has disturbances, and he overcomes them, and wants to scrutinize the truth. That is the work. Yes, and what force does he overcome? He overcomes in the force that he has, and he intends that he will request more from above, that he will gain additional forces or additional strength. And what's the condition that he's given? That the condition that he is given that is that he indeed wants to progress to a scrutiny, my love, of those same forces now acting on him. He writes that when the evil inclination bring him some foreign thoughts, it's time to take those thoughts and raise them above reason. How do you take a thought and transfer it? How do you? What do you do here? I don't understand. You discover that you have foreign thoughts which drag you in all kinds of directions. In order to scrutinize them, you need to take some device in your hand through which you scrutinize these thoughts as to whether or not they are correct. Accordingly, you either discard of them, look, and you come out purer, or you take them, either a few of them, or a part of them, or a few of them, or all of them, and as such, you progress. What is this instrument that scrutinizes whether a thought is correct or not? That is your scrutinies. According to what do I weigh every thought? According to what do I weigh every thought? It is according to the extent to which I can, that the solution that I found is to annul above my reason. I don't understand what I do with the foreign thought. A thought comes, I scrutinize it. It's opposite from the Creator. It's foreign. So, it's like something stubborn. How do I take it out of me? That you now know that the thought you now have is a foreign thought, that you will not be able to reach the purpose with it, so then you do not use it. If in any case you do take that thought, and you continue scrutinizing something through it, that is considered as you building a new state. Does a person have an ability to control his thoughts, as much as that is true or not? That is a question. To take that thought and to use it onward, one can do that. I don't understand what the correct way to use a foreign thought is. After I scrutinize it, I see it's foreign. What do I do with it? If it is scrutinized, so then you're already not inside it. You scrutinized it if it's opposite, but it's still thought. That's in me. No, that's not considered that it's been scrutinized. If it's been scrutinized, you can no longer use it. So what is actually the process of the scrutiny? That I'm shewing it until there's no need for that thought, that it disappears. The process of scrutiny is considered you having scrutinized and now confident that on that path you will receive no answer, no realistic answer. What's the matter of above reason here? If you actually doing a scrutiny about that thought, it's like you neutralize it. So, what's an action to go above reason? What does the above reason have to do with it? It sounds like it's all in reason. Yes, it's not clear. And screw, where do you scrutinize? Where does the action of scrutiny happen? In reason. You have nothing other than that. So why should I go above reason? I'm scrutinizing. I understand I don't need this foreign thought. It's all me doing. Yes, so what is above reason? That it is in an opposite form to reason. So there's no nothing here. There's no need to go above reason, because I scrutinize everything in reason, and to complete control in my thought. Yes, so what is above reason? What does it mean to take a foreign thought and rise above reason? That you take a thought that is foreign to you, but you elevate it higher than all of your thoughts, and then you use it as if it is dead, as if it is true. True, there are thoughts that I can myself overcome, for myself or with the environment, from the experience, but I don't need help from the Creator here. And sometimes there's thoughts that come, and I say, wait a minute, maybe it's worth using this foreign thought and somehow bring the Creator in here, because if not, that it's just another thing I did on my own. Yes, how to do it, to let the thought take over me, to go even more into the descent, that's not clear. How to reach a state that I need the help of the Creator. If you, with this new thought, can scrutinize the state, so that is considered you being within reason. In order to scrutinize something above reason, you need to receive, but you need to receive upon yourself a condition that above reason is more important to you than within reason. And let's say that I'm willing to accept that above reason is more important. Yes, how does it bring me to work with this thought now? Because I know that I can overcome the thought, let's say, but I don't want to overcome on my own. I want above reason, not in reason. So what should I do for it to really be above reason? You need, in your scrutiny, to understand what is within reason and what is above reason. These two levels, scrutinize those two levels, and then should be clear to you why you take a decision that is above your reason. So in every state, even if it's very clear, or the opposite, the more it's clear, there's more of an opportunity, yes, that the above reason will be more important. Let's now share our impressions from the lesson, and what do we take from it for implementation in the 10. It's a very special lesson. We feel gratitude for the fact that we get this opportunity to work together towards an ascent. Some of the things we heard and were very practical were that as much as we can imagine our connection with the Creator, that the Creator wants to bring one closer, he gets an additional force with which to ask the Creator to give him the understanding of how to change his state. Yes, we need to take a step forward in the connection between us, and this means in the connection between us and in coming closer to the Creator, and for that we need forces, so that each one will give the other one forces, and to ask of the Creator that he give us forces for and our work. All of our work is about closeness, closing the business between us and the Creator. And each time we have thoughts about their friends and their benefit, we discover that all of life and coming closer to the Creator depends on the thoughts, thinking good about the friends for the friends. Yes, there were many pieces of advice what to do if we feel a little bit of distancing from the Creator, distancing from connection with the Creator. So one piece of advice was to talk about the essence and find himself in a state of greater connection with the Creator, closer to the Creator. So how to find the forces for that? It is only through the connection with the friends and through the work in that 10. All the states that come are opportunities to approach the Creator. So you have to consider every state that comes, and overcoming is when a person finds forces in that state to approach a little more, and these forces are found in the group, and the action is the action of annulment and cooperation to make the friends bigger. So I would want to be with them. We heard that we need to do a research each time anew on the state of the 10, the state of every friend. What does he need? How can we help? How can we contribute so that every friend will have everything to scrutinize which actions bring us closer to the Creator, and out of this scrutiny to find that place, that need for the help of the Creator. The scrutiny is, with the scrutiny we can receive forces to ascend constantly, to demand and to ask the Creator to show us this place. Yes, I heard that getting closer to the Creator means that during the distancing, during the descent, when you lose some connection with your friends in such states, you find within you forces for an ascent. And here certainly prayer is the most beneficial thing. If it is a prayer from the 10 that has undergone a descent and distancing, then it is a very beneficial thing. I repeat what you said on the context of the need to awaken the scrutiny, and also to strengthen one another with gratitude, that when we turn to him, we are rewarded with his presence, and whenever we have the opportunity, we should act and, toward an ascent. Descent and ascents will certainly happen. Our work, our effort is, as quickly as possible, to get out of these states so that they will be replaced. This is the overcoming, and this is truly work that we can do only together, between us, to give forces to each other, to give an opportunity to express love, an opportunity for greater connection. Use all the means so that we will feel greater connection between us. If I wish to approach the friend, I need to awaken him, and then we will move to the next part of the lesson. We will study from the study of the 10. We read from the book Volume 2 Part 5, page 323, in the Hebrew version item 39. So we're reading item 39. Let us return to the matter that when it returns to being not expanding in Keter, it is then expanding in HMA, meaning the light departs from Keter, and light of HMA descends in it. In the vessel of HMA, at that time, the 7 sons in Bina are grown, and do not need their mother, meaning they have learned that Bina has phase 2 of clothing, and phase 1 of hoarseness. At that time, Bina ascends due to her desire to adhere to her. This is called not expanding in the light of Bina. It seems from here that it was not expanding in Keter but expanding in HMA. Then it became to not expanding in Bina. Then Bina connected with HMA because she has a desire to adhere to her. This is called not expanding in the light of Bina. After that, the vessel of Bina turns her interior downwards, and the 7 lights in her descend, and all are given to face. So what is the order here? We need to know what the meaning is. That Dina turned her interior downward, and became face to face with the vessel. Thus, we will see below inner light 39 not expanding in. It is then expanding in HMA, and light of HMA descends in it. This is because the coarseness of phase 3 of the female of Keter was refined once more. At that time the vessel of Keter turns its interior downwards, and becomes phase 3 phase 2 again. Then Keter gives its residue once more, meaning phase 3 phase 2 to the vessel of us before. It follows that the light of descends once more as in the beginning. Moving on, then he says, the 7 sons of Bina are grown, and do not need their mother. At that time, Bina ascends meaning, after the light of HMA descended to the vessel of HMA, this illumination reaches Bina too. Why? For they are above reason. That above the ma come out as one, meaning they emerge as are on a single phase of coarseness. Hence they stay as one, meaning their level is equal, is the same as above in the adjacent discourse in the section that begins with and the light. This is very difficult. We will see soon, since the illumination reached Bina, the light of it receives the light of 2 phase 1 that exists in a vessel of HMA. For this illumination of HMA, and at that time it attains its face of, meaning the face of Gal of Vatma. For Zeri, he writes, then the 7 sons in Vina are grown, and do not need their mother. Previously, when it was not expanding in, but expanding in K, so expanding in Bina, and Bina had phase 2 of clothing, and phase 1 of coarseness. Phase 1 of coarseness cannot give him. Why? They are called a baby that needs his mother for the light that needs illumination of, or illumination of Bina. Therefore, illumination of was not there because it was not expanding in, so they had to remain in Bina, so that they would have at least the desire of the mother, as it says, he says here, unlike now when it became not expanding in Ket and expanding in Ma. Then the light of which is phase 2 illuminates to Bina, which is on the same level phase 2. Let's say therefore the sons phase 1 who have illumination of can already go outside, to whom to their place phase 1 because it already has illumination of. But what's difficult for me is what he says when I say expanding in, then expanding in bar makes no sense. They both are on the same level. Why are they in one in the same level? it. Phase 3, Phase 2. Even if we say Phase 2 and it's Phase 2 of clothing, it tells us that it's not. They come out as one and stay as one as the section says, and the light here it seems. Why does he say that aber der ma come out as one and stay as one? So he says why, meaning they emerge on a single face of hoarseness. So we need to say that although we learned that the vessel of HMA had its Phase 3 refined, and the vessel of HMA remained with Phase 2 of clothing and Phase 2 of coarseness, and there was a coupling, their Phase 2. These two phases called male and female, and a new level emerged on Phase 2, and we learned that this Phase 2 of light is given to the vessel of they are on the same level, but afterwards we learned that also Phase 2 of was refined, and Phase 1 remained, and this Phase 1 is given to Biner, and Biner cannot give this Phase 1 to, because they are small, there is no there now when we say expanding inma. So what do we learn? That Phase 2 has not yet been refined to Phase 1. It seems from here that otherwise this would not be one level. So we have to say, at the time when expanding in HMA, even if we say there are two phases, there is ma illuminating two. So what is there in the vessel of Biner? The Phase 1 that we had before this. Phase 1 receives. How is it called face to face? This is a bit difficult. It could be that in this level that receives is given to Phase 1 that it has from before. So what does he add here? We need to see the another passage soon. Here he says two things. Since now, expanding in, there is light of, the question arises, when is it not expanding in? It seems that as long as its Phase 2 of coarseness was refined, there is still ma. Therefore it illuminates to Biner, because the light of Biner, that is in the vessel of Biner, the light of the male is the light that emerged on the two phases that were in the vessel of. This still remains to it from this aspect. They are one level. But now that it became expanding inward again, the light can illuminate now to Biner. Unlike before, when Biner received Phase 1, it had to be previously not expanding in, meaning the Phase 2 of the vessel of HMA had to be refined, but now Phase 1 already exists in the vessel of Mina, so it doesn't need to be refined. Therefore at the time when has two phases and has the light of F, the light of illuminates to all that is Phase 2 in the vessel of Biner, and there's also their Phase 1 of courses from before. Then the 7 sons they receive HMMA. Then this HMA, that Phase 1 has called, can already go outside. Now what does it mean that Biner ascends to HMA? Let's see. At that time, Biner ascends to, he writes, then the 7 sons of Biner are grown and do not need their mother. For once they have attained domination of, they have become grown since they have acquired the phase of force. This is why they do not need their mother. He explains to us that prior to that, when it was not expanding in, but only expanding in Biner alone, the vac with a phase of flight of without any illumination of, hence they had to receive their sustenance from the vessel of Biner, which is the phase of the desire of, which is the face of Gar and of two things. They could not separate the V from the vessel of Biner to the vessels of vac because of the lack of sustenance, as there is no sustenance and its smooth self, except in the face of which is their place. However, now that they have attained illumination of, they have become grown and have a standing stature and the power to expand in the vessels, and this is no novelty here as we learned before. Let's read forward. At that time, Biner ascends to. Why? This is because then it is impossible for the upper one to bestow upon the lower one except by turning the panem, the interior meaning to be in equivalence of form to be in equivalence with the lower one, which is regarded as close to it and giving it its residue. Thus, Biner sends to, meaning the male and the female of Biner, we learned is the light that emerged on two phases in the vessel of HMA. And look, he explains before is the record of Phase 2 of clothing called female, because this is only a record. Compared to the light, it becomes refined. They become refined from their Phase 2 to Phase 1. And now at Biner, Phase 1 has become the face, the interior. By this, the vessel of Biner is found face to face with the vessel of, as they are now both from with the coarseness of Phase 1, which is called face to face. It turns out then that the male and the female of the vessel of Bina depart and rise to the vessel of HMA, and Bina are then found in one vessel of the phase of HMA, and now there is the control of the vessel of HMA in the parts of, as it's written. We have reached a state. We will learn this, then we'll argue. That comes the expansion in Keter, phase 4, phase 3, regularly in the first stage not expanding, and yet Ket illuminates how can emerge. And afterwards we learned there was an internal clash between internal surrounding light, as we learned phase 4 over phase 3 in the vessel of Ketu say. It was refined. So what remains from the vessel of Keter phase 3 over phase 2? Another point we need to learn from this is like this. After the light departed in part of Galgalar, he says, the order of the 10 vessels. In each vessel there remains a record, and the last phase is lost. It turns out that in the vessel of Ketu, there is phase 4 over phase 3. There, phase 4 was previously phase 4 of coarseness. Now there's phase 3 of coarseness, and phase 4 is only for clothing, and the vessel of Gala remained. What was previously phase 3 became phase 2 of coarseness, and phase 3 is no more than clothing, and the level of Bina of part 2 of Kagalar had phase 2 of coarseness. Their phase 1 of coarseness remains, and phase 2 remains only in clothing. What happens with phase 1? There also needs to be a descent. We'll see, he doesn't tell us up to here first, so let's understand what he says, and then we'll think about what he doesn't say. Afterwards he says that a new coupling is made in the level of the degree through the screen of the taboo of Gala. That rose to the row of Galgalar. Then the light comes to bring out the records. Previously part of Tamim emerged called vessel of Keter on phase 4 over 3. Then afterwards the vessel of Keter was refined from phase 4 over 3. What remained? Phase 3 over phase 2, and this corresponds to the vessel of, and now the upper one gives to the lower one. It must be face to face. There must be equivalence. Therefore, it gave to the vessel of now, it's phase 3. Phase 2 that has equivalence. And afterwards we learn that was refined and gave its illumination alone to Bina. Then he explains that phase 3 of clothing was refined and became phase 2 of clothing, and the illumination of phase 2 of clothing was given to the vessel of Bina. As we learned before, that from Bina remained phase 2 of clothing, and phase 1 of coarseness it gave it to phase 2, but phase 1 it still hasn't given it to the vessel of Bina. Why, he doesn't say, and afterwards he says what remains now in the vessel of HMA phase 2 of clothing, phase 2 of coarseness. A coupling was made there of these two phases called male and female, and a new level emerged on phase 2. This phase 2 was given to the vessel of Bina. But the difference is that for the upper one there is G of this level, and in Bina there's only vac of this degree. On which degree? On phase 2. Since this is light, the Ari calls it by the name of light of the male. Unlike the record, that is their phase 2 of clothing, he calls it the female, the quality of female. I see another point, since he says that the male, which is the light, he calls vac, but the record that remains from the first expansion, he calls it G, except that the aspect of female is only a record. Therefore he says that the male is the quality of vac and the female is quality of God, but it's a quality of a female. Why did it happen this way? We'll see later. Afterwards we learn that phase 2 of coarseness in the level of was refined to phase 1. Then he learns that then he says the teachers is that phase 2 and phase 3 and rose together to the vessel of Keter and they expanded in Keter. Why? Because not expanding in, then the record rose upward and received their light again as it was before. Why? We learned this and we're learning it again. It expands in the Ket and not expanding in. The meaning of this is not expanding. Learning now the vessel of, about the vessel of, teaching now in general way that the light of Keter that stands below Malav, the row of Galar above, there is a vessel of the rest of rules. At the time when it has only phase 4 of clothing, lacking phase 4 of coarseness only, and not either, that's at the time when we say that it's not expanding. That phase 3 over phase 2 was refined to phase 1 it gives to Bina. And they made there an expansion there, in ket such a state. But if we say that Bina else also gives Vars 1 to the vessel of, this cannot be because the light that needs the completeness of illumination of, as we learn in the unpin, of direct light, or if not yet, they still remain in Bina called a baby that needs his mother. Therefore, Bina has not yet given the 7 sons phase 1 to the level of 2, the vessel of, and we finished 1 stage. Afterwards, it returns to the 3rd stage. Here we learned that there was stage 1, expanding in Keter. Stage 2 not, expanding in Keter, expanding in Na. 3rd stage now expanding in, perhaps expanding in or expanding in, and said not yet. We'll move on to the next part of the lesson. Studying with friends. Dear friends, our entire life is a succession of stages, the changing of states. We're prepared to an action where, instead of action, we internalize the action. We've prepared for the Congress for 2 months, and we had a very intense week. Whoever is here in the building, whoever is somewhere else in the world, and now, about a week, so it takes us to week 2. Understand what happened to internalize it to let it settle, and at the same time, we look forward. So, like every year after every Congress we have more than one Congress, we have one big Congress when we try to internalize, to understand, to comprehend what happened, what did we feel, what conclusions we're taking forward. So we continue, yes, and a part of this digestion of what happened to us and where we're going forward, it's clear that we want to continue the Congress in an ascent, as we heard in the lesson from RA today and also in yesterday's lesson. And in order to continue the Congress in an ascent, before we reach the future, we have to really be grateful for what we went through. So we start with gratitude for the past. This is what Balasam writes for us in Shamari, so let's read it. Let's enter the words of Balasulam from Shamari 26. This is excerpt number 1. Let's feel how much this is speaking exactly about us, about the very special people who are here in our world clay. So in excerpt 1, Baram writes, there are many people in the world who are not given the strength to do the holy work, even in the simplest way, even without an intention, and in Lishma not for her sake, even in Lishma of Lishma, and even in preparation for the preparation of their clothing of Kadashir holiness, while he was rewarded with being given the desire and the thought to at least occasionally do holy work, even in the simplest possible way. If one can appreciate the importance of this, according to the importance one attributes to the holy work, to that extent he should give praise and thanks for it. This is so because it is true that we cannot appreciate the importance of being able to sometimes observe the mitzvot, the commandments of the Creator, even without any intention. In that state he comes to feel elation and joy in the heart. The praise and gratitude one gives for it expand the feelings, and one is elated by every point in a holy work. He knows whose servant he is, and thus sources ever higher. This is the meaning of what is written. I thank you for the mercy you have done with me, meaning for the past, and by this he can confidently say, and he does say, and that you are destined to do with me. So, with this feeling of gratitude for everything we received, let's hear a few words from Rav about how to give thanks correctly. What is this connection with the Creator called gratitude? Let's watch clip number 1. We say thank you. Congress was great. We got what we got. Thank you so much. Or there's something else, This gratitude. What is this kind of connection with the Creator? Gratitude is a special connection with the Creator that I want to thank him for what he did for me so far, and I truly expect that going forward you will also not leave me, and I will remain with my friends in all kinds of processes that we need, and we don't yet know what we need, but I would like this to happen to us. We should expect that truly from one day to the next we will get closer to the Creator, and we expect spiritual ascent towards him, and that in the end this will give us, it will let us feel and understand and perceive the entire spiritual system, and so that we can use it correctly. Yes, so we start first from gratitude for everything we received, everything we went through. We want to use correctly all of these states, and this already takes us forward. So we want to continue the Congress in an ascent We start from gratitude, and now we want to hear a few more words from Ra. We will watch another clip that will help us to direct ourselves onwards. So how do we continue the Congress? How do we take everything we went through and use it in order to move forward to our next state, our next degree? So let's focus ourselves really well. Later on, we would like to discuss it between us. So let's hear really well Rob's words and think about our advancement to the next degree. So another clip from Rob's words, clip number 2, please. How do we continue extend what we got from the Congress? How do we continue it? Well, first of all now, it needs to be work as we always talked about it, that through the connection, we should ask the Creator to help us connect and get closer to Him. This is how it will continue. Do we need to try and preserve what we've attained? More than preserving it, we need to rise higher each time, more and more, not to ask that we will have what we had, but rather that we will have more. That's it. When you said that we all were in debt to the Creator, we should feel this, that we're in debt to the Creator, that we owe Him. What is that feeling that we owe to the Creator? We receive from Him upper forces, the spiritual forces. We received from Him our society, thousands of people who are everywhere in the world, and therefore we should be grateful to Him, and we should correctly answer His expectations from us. So we do ask Him to help us. We don't forget to be grateful. We had thousands of friends from all over the world. We acquired the spiritual vessel and nothing else, and we want even more, not to remain with what we had, but to ask for more and more. This is a very central point Rob tells us here. Should we preserve what we the question? Should we preserve what we achieve? Rav says more than preserving, we need to rise higher, more and more, right? And then we hear from Rav a few more words about the fact that we owe to the Creator. He seemingly gave us upper forces. He connected us together. He brought us to such states of connection in our whole world group, and we should be grateful to Him as we started lesson, but also answer His expectations. This means that we are now in a very productive state of work after the Congress, specifically after the ascent that we received seemingly from above, from the Creator, His gift. Now we have work. The Creator is expecting us to take a step towards Him, not just to keep what we attain, but that we need to rise higher. Let's read a few more words from Rob's words, then we'll have a workshop. The next excerpt, we have it only in subtitles. Let's see really well what Rav tells us. Here, he was asked how to recognize in the next moment what the Creator wants from me. How can we recognize the Creator's demand in relation to the adjacent next moment, not in the future? Let's all focus on this question. What does the Creator want from us right now? And then in the very next moment, Ra said, the Creator wants that now, when we go back to our place, every group to its place, every person to their place, that, nevertheless, we will carry along with us in every moment that same impression, that love, this connection, so that that same inclination will live between us. Let's read it again. Ra's answer, the Creator wants that now, when we go back to our place, every group to its place, every person to their place, that nevertheless we will carry along with us every moment that same impression, that love, this connection, so that that same inclination will live between us. So soon we'll discuss it. And the question is, what does it mean to carry that same impression from the Congress into the tent? Because we know we don't look back. We don't want to get stuck on the past. We want to look ahead, and states change, and every day is like a new page. Everything is renewed. So what does it mean? What does it mean to carry with us? Yes, we heard quite a few times. We don't want to be like the Lot wife. We don't want to get stuck in the past. We don't want to turn into a pillar of salt. So there is some work here that we need to scrutinize. On the one hand, this great impression that we still have it in our feeling, in our brain, in our heart. We don't want to lose it completely or upset. We need to carry it over with us On the other hand, we know that we have to keep going to rise to develop. Every new ascent must also begin from an additional overcoming over the additional cuirassness, the new vessel. Sometimes it appears as what we call a descent. So what exactly does it mean to carry over that same impression from the Congress into our 10? We want to talk about that. What does it mean to carry that same impression from the Congress into the 10? Let's give it 8 minutes and truly try to scrutinize these things, please. We are experienced. We see before us, we feel, or exactly we need to add. Also in preparation for the Congress, we've done good work. We made room for the Creator to enter between us and now have to amplify the H1 needs to squeeze additional forces for himself and help the friends find a place for work. So, through the connection between, we once again will ask the Creator to help us connect, come closer and connect to him. We don't carry over. We simply achieved some connection in a Congress. We achieved a certain state, a certain feeling. And out of this feeling, we don't now want to remember what it was like. We have the present state. And from the present state, we operate. Now, how the state that we have attained, how can we use it in order to amplify it, make it greater, in order to, I'm not even sure how to say this, so that this state will grow more and more. Not to go back. That's whatever we had, it's gone. Now, we're in a new state. What we read in excerpt number 1, all of our future depends on gratitude. What's already transpired. It's simply gratitude. How do you say this is the foundation for the prayer, the foundation for the request from the Creator. We received in a Congress many gifts from the world clay, many impressions. Now in the 10, we want to continue to deepen the impression, to do more scrutinies. Yes, this is the solution to all of the states that will come. So the scrutiny should be now about the connection in the connection between us. The purpose is not to look back, but to advance, go deeper, and from that to find forces for advancement in the Congress. We received all sorts of new forms of connection between us, new attitude to the friends, a new form of effort. It's hard to express it in words, but I'm sure everyone felt some innovation in the work. So in the Congress it was accompanied by feelings, maybe all kind of positive feelings, let's say. So we have to separate the feeling from the work. So now it's helping us separate it. So now we don't have the feeling, we don't have a pleasant feeling or something that shines, but that effort, that type of effort and connection, the importance, this is something we need to bring to the 10, that now even without a feeling. Friends, we'll continue the workshop in soon. We have a few more minutes left. If any questions come up, you can write them down. We'll give time to it. So let's continue the workshop, but you can write down questions and we'll later attend to them. So let's continue. So even without a feeling, I need to make an effort to relate to the friend like in the Congress, even with all kinds of states that we go through. Now the question is, substance, where do we get the strength or the forces? So these forces come out of the exertion we had. Thanks to them, we were able to receive vessels that now exist in the tent. Each one brought vessels with him. Whether he is aware or not, they're in the tent and they start shining. Vessels that are filled with light in the Congress. We received Congress. Now we're filling them up, and those impressions, there are those vessels. So if you connect together, their intensity will be much greater. We received forces to ascend, and from that impression now we're supposed to use it as help to advance more in the connection between us, to come closer to the Creator. Do these actions, we don't have that much to carry. We didn't get an impression of weight, rather we received the forces to ascend. That's how the Creator helped us. We need to now learn how to use it as help. Yes, these forces of ascent are the sparks that we now try to raise up to turn them into a rishimo, a record that will correct us and give us a new state that will bring us closer to the Creator. And if not, then these sparks will simply turn off in this feeling of how good it was, how much we enjoyed in the Congress. This must not happen, but rather we need to scrutinize the new state, and this will bring us a correction and ascent. Constant ascent. One of the strongest impressions I had in the Congress was in the last meal, When the 10 came down for the meal, and on the left there were 2 tables of the Latin clay. Really, you could really feel the warmth that they emanated. We sat together half an hour before the meal. Everyone were very excited because the friends were already speaking from the heart, and also our friend from the 10 was about to perform a stage, and the excitement in the 10 was so great that he didn't care about how there was no room for anyone. There was no food, no plate, but it was simply a powerful impression, and these feelings, these impressions to carry with us each and every moment from the morning when you wake up and all day long in the 10. Okay friends, we will be happy to hear questions, especially we invite friends, men, women that maybe this was their first big congress or one of their first few congresses. So if there are friends who want to bring up questions following what we talked about in the congress, following their impressions from the congress, and how do we continue from here, this is the time. And if you do, I want to ask, you have microphones that are scattered on the table, simply pass them on to each other. Yes, both in the study hall here and in the root system. Of course, we have put up your question marks. Okay, so okay. Oh, we have a question there. Okay, good day. How can we, no corporal, how can we maintain the joy in our 10? And how can we tell it's a spiritual joy and not corporal joy? How all the joy that we received to bring it into the 10. Yeah, how to bring the joy that we received to bring in general this charge we accumulated, including joy and happiness and experience and impression, how to bring the vessels that we acquired. Each one here is an representative of the 10. Whatever he acquired is a property of the 10, how to bring it. So first of all, just as you say, through the joy, through this personal example, how to continue by having anchors, foundations, framework, things that add responsibility, on that you add joy, happiness, you add preparation for the next event or events, and with a great concern for the friends in the tent that participated, they be less so that the great joy will not burn them, but they will feel that whatever we accumulated is also theirs. We came here to share. I didn't get anything for myself. I received from everyone for the tet. Yes, maybe I'll add another word about it. If I heard this expression once that Raf described it, that where we come out of a gathering, we're different already. We're different people. It's not the same I who came into the congress. It's not the same as the one who comes out of the congress. So when I now go back to my place, my life, to my 10 also, that maybe couldn't be with me in the congress, I already include within me everything the congress gave me or I went through in the congress. So all I need to do is hug the friends in the tent as much as possible, and everything will pour out from one heart to the other. Let's continue. More questions. We have Alex, please. Hi, how can we use this power energy that was revealed for us and enjoy and everything to solve the same problem than we always have, and put the people to wash the morning class? There are many 10s and different levels of commitment. There are people who are more committed to the lesson. There are those who are less. Of course, those who participated in the congress and came out of the congress, there is their charged. We need to pass it on from heart to heart as much as we can. Mostly what each one of us should do, for sure. And with all the friends in the 10, it's first of all by example. First of all, personal example. If you can awaken the friends and also make them be a bit jealous and also want it and see that they're missing out, that's the best, not in a coercive way. And so we always need to keep this balance. First of all, Alex, it's Alex. You're a personal example, I'm sure. You're giving a very nice example to everyone. Like we were in some event together not too long ago, and you really showed without words how you simply do whatever you can to serve everyone, You pour drinks. You were arranging the tables and the chairs. You were the last one to leave, and everybody saw that. So this is called the personal example. This is exactly the example also when you go back to your 10, you have an opportunity. We that spirit, everything we absorbed. Hear all of this amazing work of all of the friends and men and women, they all work together like a school of fish in every area, and everything that happened here, This spirit we want to pass it on to our tents, to those who participate more and those who participate less, to gather everyone into one flock. And it's mostly through an example, a good spirit and positive envy. That always adds. So let's try to do it together. There was another question there. Within the new from every Congress, a person gains more experience. He's more experienced in working at the group. So how does one keep the experience that he had in the Congress, but also not falling back into the impression and the state that he had before? That's exactly what we scrutinized in the workshop. How to rely on the experience, and sometimes you feel it or you don't feel it. Maybe you receive a different feeling, but you continue. So from Congress to Congress we certainly accumulate experience. How did we prepare? What did we receive? Sometimes we feel like we didn't receive exactly what we thought we would receive. Other times it's the other way around. The result, we're in charge of the preparation and to get through this event with you maximum power. So the experience is very important. By not falling into despair and knowing that we have to start anew each time. And also following the next question, the last question. How can we truly support the tent by when seemingly you run out of batteries? Then in the previous Congress then you charge them and you can continue, or maybe you fall into despair. You try to show an example, and the friends in the 10 you see them that are not awakening, but again after the Congress you start anew, you turn a new page. You can do the same as what you've done before, but it's not the same. Actually, it comes with all the additional experience, this new experience you acquired, and everything comes and accumulates on top. The question with, yes, ladies, we can see you as well. So please put up your hand high. Go back home with a great deficiency. How not to harm the 10. To burn it. The previous Congress was a suggestion to add some time. So what are you suggesting in this Congress? What are you afraid of when you say you might burn the France? What exactly are you afraid of? The thing is that if you came alone by yourself to the Congress, there's a feeling like that it will get in the way. This kind of a crown, and it'll only bother me, disturb me. Why will it you hinder bother them? If I come home and I think about all my family that I want to do good to them, I want to bring them something from a good place that I was in. There was abundance there, so I come and I give them gifts, right? So come like that to your tent. I come with a heart that is full with an uplifted feeling, with the entire world clear, connected as one inside my heart, and that's what I want to give them. I want to pass it on with love, and as much as they can, as the friends can receive it. From me the better it is, that's it. And, in general, let it pass. Let everything pass from me to them, that's even better. I think this fear that he brought is really good. We went through different states, and we need to bring it to the 10, and bring it as love, as I've said. There's no concerns not to bring it as knowledge. That I know how to do better because I've seen examples of how to behave this way. That way they told me I saw, but rather to bring a feeling of upliftment, the expression for, but you will find in the 10. We received a great gift in this Congress, a very powerful force of connection. Every 10 received it without exception. The question is how to amplify the value of this gift so that we will feel that this is the most precious thing we have, that whatever we receive. Yes. He writes about it exactly in that excerpt we read from Sharmi. Let's read again Balasam's words. This is exactly about that. So Balasam writes in excerpt 1. This is so because it is true that we cannot appreciate the importance. It's true we are unable to appreciate at all where we are and whose commandments are we performing, whose Torah are we studying, the status that we're in. We just know a little bit. Apparent probably the greatness of what is happening, and he Balaam continues and says of being able to sometimes observe the commandments of the Creator even without any intention, and then he says the praise and gratitude one gives for it expand the feelings, and one is elated or impressed by every single point in the holy work. We need to raise more and more our gratitude for everything that happened here, and indeed to bring it really well into our appeal to the Creator. The more we appreciate each and every friend, every man and women and every effort and everything that happened here and the conditions we receive. We shouldn't take it for granted at all. None of what is happening here. The more we will be grateful for it. In this way we will enlarge the vessels, and we can feel in them. So indeed, more gratitude, more praise. We can't overdo it. We should only add. Question from Asher. We can see you. Thank you very much, dear friends. Thank you, Boris and Asaf. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the creator. How can we use this article or the wherever you mention my name? This is where I will be with this concern we feel after the Congress. That way we might lose the feeling of the creator in the connection between us. What does it mean to mention his name? Thank you. We have to try to appreciate what we receive that we're sometimes not able to appreciate it. If then we have to remind the friends what we're doing, give them example, and that's how we remember. Remind them of his name without words. By example, if we help the friends, if you serve them, if you carry out the different roles, by that we remind them of his name even without saying it. And you can also say it you know one time when you gather, or few times during the day when you gather on the Zoom, for example, also when you gather once a week for a gathering of friends of the 10, which is very important to have a warm gathering, if possible physically, if not virtually. So once a week, warm gathering of the 10, and there you also remind one another and their entire lives. We remind them of his son, and we have the values by which to appreciate it. Thank you very much. We mean unity. Hello, dear friends. I came to this room in unity because not all my friends in the lesson can be in the lesson. I'm from Moscow 5. My question is about what we pass on to the 10. I wanted to say that what happened in the MOS group, it's always wonderful. But this time, it was one heart. It was one movement. Truly, the same ears, same eyes. Seemingly, we play this wonderful theatre opposite the creator, where we try to show him that we have one beating heart directed towards him from the kitchen and the books. We sold such a number of books that, and in the buffet, we had a new woman, not from the Moscow group, but they always come to congresses, they participate. The kitchen was like 100 kilometers from our center, and friends drove there, and we truly have a lot of gratitude that we want to share. But what we want to take to our 10 is the yearning and our aspiration to show the creator that we are willing to keep going. And today, we will discuss which steps we can take to strengthen the muscle group even more so that it can strengthen all of, pass it on to the whole world. So thank you very much to you, to the creator, to the teachers and moderators that are giving this lesson now. Thank you for helping us answer questions. How do you look forward with gratitude? And you're taking all this new experience you acquired. Thank you. Okay, we're now talking about how the friends can awaken inspiration in return. Between the friends, is there a place that in the same way tents can awaken other tents in the same society, or in a regional clee, or in the world cleansed? For one of the workshop questions, we probably won't get there because we see the questions and we want to share impressions, but we wanted to talk about that exactly. How can we take all this impression and not keep it only in the tent, but for our tent to serve the group, the all of everyone, so that we win all this excitement and all the impressions, we won't close ourselves in. We'll feel that it's part of bestowing and giving. It's a big part of it. So thank you for reminding us it's something we need to think about from here on, how to do it correctly. We also heard, if you remember, in the preparation for this lesson, we had a little bit of a conversation with Raf that the friends had, and there he said that each one of us should think about everyone, that they depend on him, not just my 10, including my 10, but each one can hold everyone. And it's amazing that in a time of a congress, we feel it. In a time of a congress, this gathering generates a very clear feeling that every 10 is held inside a broader circle of the entire world clee, and we really wanted to continue with that. Continue what Gregor asked and Boris talked about it. Maybe we'll have a plenum instead. Maybe last question. Hello. Okay, so let's take the question. Teddy, please. It's a very productive state we're in right now. I'd like to know what that means. You said especially after Congress. Yes, I'll say the following. Rav once explained it very nicely. after we are actually in a great connection, in a feeling of concentration, of compression, if we just hold on to it, if we just even hold on to that same inclination, already the Creator will start to give us more coarseness. But if we will hold on to this compression, to this connection between us, then the coarseness seemingly will raise us from below, it will raise us up. So the distance now that we all scatter, each one goes back to their place, to their group, to their 10, and suddenly we seemingly become far away from each other. It won't be just distance, it will be like breathing, like we inhale and exhale and keep breathing. In this way, this coarseness from below the distance may be a feeling of, where are the friends? Where is the connection? Where is the Creator? No, we hold on to the inclination for connection, and beneath it, it's like an elevator. All the courses that is added, the disruptions and confusions, they will be like an elevator that raises us up. This is why now we have a very important time, very special time. Like Rav said, the Creator's expectations. He's waiting for us to answer His expectations. He gave us everything that happened here, everything that happened here. It's now an opportunity for us to answer the Creator's expectations. And this is how, by keeping our inclination towards connection, towards love, towards unity between us on top of everything that is happening, this is the great opportunity we have now, and we will succeed together. Good morning, brothers and sisters. We all have impressions. We have them in this Congress. One had huge impressions, one had less impressions. Everyone has single impressions. But we got them from each other. Now we come back home. What does it mean to do the action of preserving with the friends in the 10? And what is the importance of that action, to do that, to be able to grow, spur on that preservation? It's a good question. It's exactly on the heels of what we scrutinized, and we wanted to scrutinize it, want to preserve it, to add to it, not look back, only add, only together. So maybe there are additional impressions here that we can share. I have the following question. From everything we felt during this time, we truly received pleasure from the Creator. How can we express gratitude to the Creator from the 10 for everything we received? We heard in the first clip that gratitude to the Creator is indeed a special connection. There's truly serious work in it. It's not just I said thank you to someone. We need to find inside what exactly are we grateful for the good feeling, for more than that. So there is scrutiny inside the gratitude. And mostly, we need to feel the greatness of the occasion that we were rewarded with, even with doing some small service. In the King's Hall already we get to know where we are. So the greatness of the occasion, of each and every friend, every man and woman who are here, in that exactly we give thanks to the Creator behind each and every friend, and the Creator is who brought them here. And we can continue to do this in our hands when we go back home. And the great connection we acquired here, we heard from, we want to carry it over with us, not to leave it here. It's in our heart. We take it with us, and with this heart we continue to live and to bestow to the friends who are in our tea, including those who are not here. This is how we will rise. We will simply rise from one day to the next together. Then I simply exit the corporeal vessels, and it seems to me that there is no reality in the world except my friends and I. After that, even the I is cannelled and is immersed, mingled in my friends, until I stand and declare that there is no reality in the world, only the friends. I wanted to ask you to accompany in this moment of gratitude. Gratitude to the Creator, everything that we have here, the power that we receive, for these gigantic friends all around us, for the constant support we receive in our process of growth, for love. And I ask you to accompany me, to be with me throughout this development in our war against the ego. And for that I want to thank all of you, all of you, all of you. And I want to pass it on to my friend, David. No, I cannot talk because Elliot is watching me. He makes me laugh and cry all the time. I'm sorry speaking Italian here. All the languages mix up. I came here in order to learn anew from you once again, and all the names of the friends come up in my head. Ariel is over there. Jose is standing next to me. Christian sitting over there. We'll see. Veteran friends, new friends. How is it possible to connect? And I came here to ask you, how do you do it? And I discovered it. And you, when I look at you friends, when I look at Joseph, who is sitting next to me all of this time, and he does not talk. In his silence, he tells me everything. I felt the seriousness of the friends of Francesco without words, and I realize that the only thing that I can give the friends, the only thing that the friends want from me, is that I will be happy. This joy is the only thing we need to do, the only thing we need to be only happy. The Creator gives us every day the possibility. He gave us the possibility to live in freedom all the time. Unlimited freedom. We, at least I, try to run away. I work. There are all kinds of commitments, thoughts, and the theatre tells you no. Go and have a vacation. Have a vacation. Enjoy yourself. So I want to thank the Creator for this gift that He bestowed upon me, that I can be in the hands of the friends, relaxed, and receive this sun and this love, and simply to give what I truly am. And this is why I ask of the Creator, I ask of myself, I ask from all of us. Let's simply be joyous, with no reason. My whole life I've been searching for something real. Those who know me, those who are close to me, know that I sought this in every way possible. I was seeking, let's use past tense. I sought because after this convention, I was always looking for something to connect me to the now, the present. Because there was a moment where I couldn't even recognize myself in the mirror. I saw my reflected image, but I didn't know who I am. And this is because I was very far from the truth, from reality. But the moment I get close to the friends, I no longer feel that distance. The friend looks you in the eye when you speak, brings his ear closer to hear every word. He drinks up what you say. And then I started asking myself why. And I did the same thing then myself. And you know what? I discovered the Creator. It's the Creator that I've been seeking my whole life, is present in every friend. The friend giving you some advice, some direction. He gives you the directions gave you in the morning lesson which you missed. Specifically, when your ears shut off, you have the friend telling you, oh, in the morning lesson said this, he said that, and so I begin to form a goal, a grand goal, following in the footsteps of love, following the friends, and disseminating this beauty throughout the world. For that, let's pray together to the Creator. Let's pray for our success, my friends, because we can do everything with it, with our own hands. But if we don't place Him at the center, it's impossible to succeed, friends. And so, I have a big, very big desire, friends, now. We have a powerful lesson, a beautiful lesson, but let's connect our hearts together and raise a prayer together. I ask you, please let's raise it. Let's look the friends in the eye. Let's speak directly to the Creator, my friends, and thank Him, and love the friends because that's what He wants. He doesn't want to receive. He just wants to see us loving each other. My friends, the Italian group loves you so, so much. You have no idea how much. You always lift us to dizzying heights, but we feel ourselves to be so little. We want to grow alongside you, my friends. You are our guidance. You give us the direction. And now, my friends, I'd like to pass the right of speech to my friend, who when he speaks my heart shudders, actually vibrates like a string when he plays it. Let's listen to him because his heart is truly gigantic. Good morning, friends. I want to share with you what I felt this night after 3 days when I was turning over again and again in my bed because of the fear, the anxiety that I will have to speak before the entire world. And tonight I received something that gave me calmness, and after I received it, it all became for me as though it is the first time. It is the first time that I open my heart, because my whole life I was told that I'm a person who is not free. I'm a person who is distant, alienated, cold, like so many people in this world. And before the Congress I was asked to open my heart. Then I realized that to be free and to open the heart, it is the same thing. Over the last 3 nights, I tried to write down what I'm supposed to say. Like a control freak, I wanted to reach perfection. And I promise you that I could write wonderful stories. Like when we are in lessons in a young group, I'm trying to pass my beautiful stories to our teacher. But I see that when I begin to speak, the teacher says, him again. And today I didn't want to give that to you. I didn't want to tell you that there were dogs that woke me up during these 3 days, didn't let me sleep. So I don't want any intellect, any control, any perfection. I just want to give you what I received. I truly want to open my heart. And what I received is that if today I managed to speak to you, it's not because of me. My whole life I was searching for confidence within myself, and this is an absolute illusion. Look how many people fall victim to this illusion. It's enough that we open the TV and we see how the battlefields of wars are filled with such people. This confidence, I realized it's not in me, and it will not be in me. I realized that from the moment that I entered Neo. It is confidence in my teachers, it's confidence in my 10, and now confidence begins to be born within me in the Italian group, and I can't even imagine what will happen to my confidence, if it will be confidence in each and every one of you. This is my prayer for you, that all of you will have this confidence in the friends, because the Creator is here. He's attainable here between us within our reach. Friends, we are starting lesson number 5, prayer from within the 10. Friends, we are about to enter a monumental lesson. We're going to be under complete influence of the light of our ravage. We're going to tie our reality to the Creator. We're going to be more precise in getting closer to each other. We're going to work on cancelling ourselves and working towards the general group. We are working on talking to the Creator through the prayer. So friends, let's prepare our hearts to be together in this action, to be under complete influence of the light, and for us to incorporate with each other into a single prayer. We want to show the Creator that we're the first, that we're awakening our friends toward Him. We want to search for the correct prayer so that this search will become the prayer itself. We'll receive lessons. We'll implement the advice from our teacher and feel the teacher between the friends. And now we'll go to Rav, a lesson from Rav, a prayer of many. Basically, the most important topic, because we are only desires to enjoy in spirituality. There is no such thing. If we want to enter the spiritual world, we have to change our desire from wanting to enjoy to wanting to give joy to others. In other words, our pleasure will be from wanting to give joy to others, delight others, to fill them with whatever they want, and through it also delight the Creator, who can delight Him with only by being able to receive from Him. This is what He wants to give, because He only has a desire to give, and then we can fill others, all of humanity. So before us, therefore, is a very simple action. Check what all the people want, to take from their deficiencies, pass them on to the Creator, receive from Him all the fillings to those deficiencies, and pass them back to people. So we are in between the created beings and the Creator and the Creator and the created beings, like a tube or a hose. This is our role. It is also the role of each and every person in the world. No one can fill himself with anything eternally, completely, beautifully, only if he gives, and along the way he is filled by giving. All his desire is to fill others, and by that he is filled. The trick is very simple. We didn't think about that before. No, although our body works according to these rules, the liver, the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, all the parts of the body, no organ works for itself, only for others. But in mutual connection, they create a system that lives and exists. And that's in big systems like the heart, the liver, the kidneys. But if we're speaking about little cells in the body, no one exists for itself, only in exchange in order to give to others, to convey to others. This is why we are called animate. But we, the pinnacle of godly creation, are made in such a way that we only want to receive for ourselves to satisfy ourselves. And this is why we're so miserable, more than any other animal, more than any other created being. We're also living in this pathetic way, and we also die this way. So let's see what we need to do in order to avoid those difficult events, and from death. It is written, said that if I want to live unboundedly, in a good way and receive everything I want, then I need only to convey through me all the endless abundance, and then I will be in it all the time. But on condition that it flows through me from some plus to some minus, and I'm in between enjoying it. For myself, I receive nothing. I'm only passing from one place to another. It's not a bad trick. It is written that in order to be like that, transition, like a passageway, because that's the only way we can live in the world of, we need to be equipped with a deficiency and with a request to the Creator. So again, enjoy it. Nevertheless, there is someone here who has a deficiency. Love it. It's not working. So there's a minus here. Okay, so in short, I need to scrutinize some minus and begin to pray to the Creator to receive a filling for it. I scrutinize. I sort out this minus. I become incorporated with it. It is in me. I envelop this minus, that deficiency, with my own minus. And then I have two minuses. And then these two minuses I elevate to the Creator, and I receive from him, from the Creator, Amma, into my minus and into his minus, and back in return. In other words, I raised a twofold deficiency, and I received from him a twofold filling, where my deficiency was made because I felt the deficiency of the friend, and in that feeling that I felt him, I received the filling. In other words, what happened? By incorporating myself with a friend's deficiency, I began to admit that he is deficient, and then his deficiency was made here, and my deficiency, I received a filling for him and a filling for me. Basically, neither my deficiency nor my filling would exist if it weren't for the filling and the deficiency of the friend. In other words, I gained. By incorporating myself with the troubles of the friend, I gained a deficiency and I gained a feeling. The deficiency and the filling together are called the sensation of life. When I raise those two together, this is called a prayer. So writes, all our prayers and actions, in order to scrutinize and raise the souls that fell off Adam into the shells, to bring them back to their upper root, as they were in it before Adam sinned with the tree of knowledge. In other words, in simple words, all the deficiencies that we discover only in order to raise them to the Creator, as Adam wanted to do, except he broke. But if we raise those deficiencies, each one for the others, it doesn't break. Because I'm not asking for myself, I'm asking for the friend. It is a great rule that only man himself is called the created being. In other words, only he alone, and besides him there is only the Creator. Therefore, when he prays for the friends, it is considered that he is praying for the which is in exile, meaning does not have lights and needs salvation to fill herself with the upper light. And precisely in this way can the light of mercy be revealed, the whole of the vessel that the Creator created. One big deficiency divided into many small deficiencies. So it turns out that each one can capture a desire, turn to the Creator, and receive from above a deficiency for himself and the deficiency for the friend. Friend himself cannot ask for the deficiency, none of them, only one for the other. And that's how they fill up the whole vessel. A person must not ask the Creator to bring him closer, because it is insolence on the part of men, because in what is he more important than others? But when he prays for the others, for which contains all the souls, this is all called, which is also called the inner in the dust, because the light doesn't fill her, and a person prays, he wants the collection of all the souls to rise and to be filled with upper light.